It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. Something profound is shifting within you. Although you may not fully understand it at this moment, it is clear that your thoughts are no longer the same. Your desires are evolving, and your focus is becoming more refined and purposeful. This is not a sign of confusion or disorientation. It is a sign of renewal. You are not being broken down or diminished. Rather, you are being elevated and upgraded. God is actively reconfiguring and rewiring your mindset in preparation for the new level into which He is about to usher you. The mental and emotional patterns that once enabled you to merely survive in your previous season will no longer be sufficient to fulfill your purpose in the one that is coming. What you are experiencing now is a spiritual renovation, and it is important to understand that when God begins a work of transformation, He always starts with the mind. The world has conditioned you to think in limited ways. Past trauma has taught you to be overly cautious and to shrink yourself in the face of possibility. But now the Spirit of God is teaching you how to think expansively, to grow beyond previous boundaries, and to embrace a broader vision of who you are called to be. You are not stepping into this new dimension of life with outdated thinking or limited logic. Instead, you are being internally prepared, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, for the abundance and overflow that is about to manifest externally. So do not be alarmed by the mental pressure you may feel, the emotional shifts you are undergoing, or the spiritual rewiring that is taking place. These experiences are evidence that you are being renewed, reshaped, and refined for a higher realm, one that requires the emergence of a greater, more powerful version of yourself. Let us break this journey into 7 distinct chapters so that you may clearly perceive the process unfolding in your life and understand precisely where God is leading you. Before we delve deeply into this transformative message, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, not merely as a gesture of support, but as a conscious act of alignment with what is far more than a mere message. This is a divine impartation, a sacred renewal sent directly into the minds of those who have been chosen for such a time as this. If your spirit bears witness to the truth of this shift, if you feel a stirring within that confirms its relevance to your own life, I invite you to type the number 77 in the comments section below. This number is not arbitrary. It is, in fact, a prophetic code. It represents a bold declaration that your mind is actively being aligned with the next level of purpose and destiny that God has already prepared for you. By entering this number, you are not merely participating, you are sending a signal to heaven itself. You are affirming that you are not only listening with your ears, but receiving with your spirit. This is your moment of divine agreement. It is only those who are truly chosen, those whose hearts are attuned to a higher calling, who will feel an undeniable and persistent pull to remain present and fully engaged until the very end of this message. For those who yield to that inner prompting and choose to stay, there awaits a profound unveiling of clarity, a realignment of the spirit, and fresh, divinely inspired revelation, each of which serves to activate and accelerate their journey toward divine elevation and purpose. This is not merely a message to be casually consumed or passively heard. Rather, it is a sacred encounter to be deeply absorbed, meditated upon, and spiritually digested. It is meant to be experienced multiple times, over and over again, for with every repeated listening, a new layer of transformation is unlocked. Another mental stronghold is shattered, another deception is exposed and dismantled, and another eternal truth, planted by the Spirit, rises boldly to the surface of your awareness. In this divine process, God Himself is actively at work within you, rewiring and renewing your mind, reshaping your inner world thought by thought in alignment with His perfect will and divine destiny for your life. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The upgrade begins in the mind. Beloved chosen one, understand this foundational truth. Before God ushers you into a new season of promotion or elevates your life to greater levels, He first initiates a deep and intentional transformation within your mind. This is the divine sequence, an unchanging spiritual order. Any elevation that manifests in the physical realm is always preceded by a renovation in the spiritual realm, and that inner work begins with the mind, which is the first and most critical battlefield. You may have recently begun to notice that certain patterns of thought which once provided comfort and a sense of security no longer seem to fit. Ideas and mental frameworks that previously guided your decisions and shaped your understanding of the world now feel too small, too restrictive, and rooted merely in survival rather than destiny. What you are experiencing is not confusion. It is transformation. It is the sacred sound of heaven itself stretching your inner capacity, enlarging your mindset, and preparing your soul to carry the weight and responsibility of the divine purpose that is approaching. You are not under attack. You are being upgraded. What you are presently experiencing, though it may feel like intense mental warfare, is in fact a sacred and divinely orchestrated restructuring of your inner world. God, in his infinite wisdom, is intentionally confronting and dismantling old thought patterns, mindsets, and internal narratives that no longer align with or support the destiny he has ordained for your life. The fear that once silenced your voice and caused you to withdraw is beginning to fracture and fall apart. The anxiety that habitually led you to second-guess yourself and hesitate in moments of opportunity is now being replaced by a deep, unshakable inner knowing, a boldness that is not born of ego, but of spiritual awareness. The insecurity that once compelled you to diminish your presence in the company of others is giving way to a steady and powerful divine confidence, because for perhaps the first time, you are beginning to see yourself through the lens of heaven, as God has always seen you. As it is written in Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This verse is not merely an inspirational scripture to be quoted. It is a sacred blueprint, a spiritual strategy for accessing the next dimension of your purpose. True transformation does not begin with a new physical environment, a fresh opportunity, or even a wider network of connections. It begins, first and foremost, with the renewal of your thinking. For unless your mind is renewed, you could change your location, your job title, your followers, or even your circumstances, and still remain bound internally if your mindset remains unchanged. Freedom, elevation, and alignment start within. If your thoughts remain rooted in fear and lack, it may be because God is gently peeling away the layers of mental limitation that were placed on you through childhood trauma, societal programming, cultural pressure, and past disappointments. The patterns that were formed in pain cannot lead you into your true purpose. So he is interrupting your old cycles of thought. You are beginning to notice when your mindset slips back into fear, and you're learning to catch negative self-talk and replace it with truth. That is the upgrade. You are no longer being called to think like a victim. Instead, you are being taught to think like royalty, embracing vision, clarity, structure, and authority. You are not merely reacting to life anymore. You are being trained to live with intention, direction, and divine confidence. You are no longer merely reacting to life. You are beginning to govern it. Your decisions are no longer made out of desperation, but from a place of discernment. You are no longer waiting for external validation to move forward, because your mind now fully understands who sent you, who covers you, and who you truly are. The person you once were could not survive the place where God is now leading you. That old mindset was built for survival. This renewed mindset is designed for stewardship. The former version of you tried to escape the storms, but the new you will speak to the storm and command peace. Where the old you begged for crumbs, the renewed you walks in the understanding of access and inheritance. This is not merely a fleeting motivational phase. It is a profound mental awakening, a shift in consciousness where you are beginning to think, respond, and align your mindset with the person you are becoming, rather than the person you used to be. And it is in this transformation that true elevation begins. Chapter 2. Old mental chains are being broken. Chosen one. So let us go deeper. You were not only physically oppressed, but mentally conditioned. The true bondage was never merely around your hands, but wrapped tightly around your thoughts. Your past did more than wound you. It trained you. It trained your mind to anticipate disappointment, to brace for betrayal, and to plan for pain. Somewhere along the journey, survival became your default mode of existence. You didn't simply endure hardship, you adapted to it. You mastered the art of functioning within dysfunction, of smiling through suffering, and of normalizing chaos to the point where you called it strength. However, it was never God's intention for you to remain in that place permanently. Rather, it was meant to be a temporary passage in your journey. Now everything around you and within you is beginning to shift. God is bringing to light the internal systems and patterns that have kept you trapped in unending cycles. These include the deeply rooted beliefs that quietly whispered, "You are not enough," and the mental conditioning that urged you to stay small, stay safe. There is also the unresolved trauma that persuaded you to lower your expectations, simply to shield yourself from future disappointment. Yet none of those voices ever belonged to God. They were merely the lingering residue of past spiritual and emotional battles, the after effects of carrying burdens that were never yours to bear in the first place. This is precisely why you now feel discomfort when trying to operate the way you used to. It explains why the things that once thrilled and inspired you now feel confining, outdated, and misaligned with who you are becoming. It is not that you are ungrateful for what has been. Rather, it is that your spirit is undergoing a profound awakening. What once appeared to be a lifeline, something essential to your survival or identity, now reveals itself as a limitation, no longer aligned with your growth or purpose. This internal shift is not merely a symptom of burnout or exhaustion. Instead, it is evidence of a breakthrough. You are being drawn into a higher state of awareness, a kingdom consciousness that transcends ordinary perception and aligns with divine truth. In order for you to ascend into this elevated state of being, everything within you that is rooted in fear, scarcity, or shame must be dismantled and released. These limiting foundations cannot coexist with the freedom and fullness of who you are becoming. As a result, the chains forged by generational patterns of thought are being broken. Those inherited belief systems passed down through family bloodlines that declared, "This is how it has always been, and this is how it always will be." Such thinking is being confronted and shattered, making room for transformation, renewal, and a new way of being. But God now declares, no more. You were not created to perpetuate cycles of dysfunction. Rather, you were born to confront, challenge, and dismantle them. Your existence is not a continuation of brokenness, but a divine interruption to it. You are the one destined to break the very patterns that once broke those who came before you. You are the interruption, chosen to be the curse breaker, the divine disruptor, the vessel through which transformation flows. The poverty mindset that once kept you bound is now beginning to dissolve. You no longer feel at ease with the posture of pleading for what God has already granted you the authority to possess. You are no longer seeking permission from people, from systems, or even from your past to prosper, to dream boldly, or to succeed unapologetically. You are starting to understand a deeper truth, that lack is not a sign of humility, and abundance is not a display of arrogance. You were never intended to glorify suffering or romanticize struggle. Rather, you were created to walk confidently in divine provision, lasting peace, and God-given power. And then there is the matter of people-pleasing, the subtle yet powerful force that quietly kills destinies. It is that internal voice that urges you to remain small, to play it safe, to stay silent when you should speak, and to hide in the background rather than stand in your truth. But even that voice is being silenced now. God is not calling you to a life of mere agreeability, where you strive to make others comfortable at the expense of your purpose. He is calling you to walk in obedience, obedience to His will, not to the expectations of others. You were never created to blend in with the crowd. You were intentionally chosen to stand apart, to be set apart for something greater. What you are experiencing in this moment, the restlessness in your soul, the mental friction, and the longing for something beyond what is familiar, is not the sign of a breakdown. Rather, it is the breaking away of every barrier, mindset, and fear that has held you back from becoming who you were always meant to be. This freedom you are stepping into is not a fleeting emotional phase. It is not a mood, nor is it a coincidence. It is a divine intervention. God is not only liberating your life externally, He is first freeing your mind, because true and lasting transformation always begins in the mind. This new experience of freedom may feel unfamiliar, and at times it may even feel isolating. Yet make no mistake, it is sacred. It is holy ground, divinely appointed, and it belongs to you. You are not merely in the process of healing, you are undergoing a profound evolution. You are not simply running from old patterns. You are rising up to confront and permanently dismantle them. Chapter 3. God is giving you kingdom thinking. Chosen one, God is transforming the way you think, not to conform to the patterns of this world, but to align with the reality of His kingdom. Your mind is no longer wired to function according to earthly logic or limited human reasoning, because you were never created to think like the world. You were never called to adopt its fears, subscribe to its flawed systems, or live under the weight of its limitations. Instead, you have been set apart, consecrated to operate with kingdom thinking, a divine mindset that transcends earthly patterns and demolishes every mental ceiling that once restricted your vision and capacity. What you are experiencing is not merely freedom from destructive habits or surface-level behavior. You are being completely retrained to think like heaven, to process, discern, and act according to God's eternal truth. This is not simply a shift toward positive thinking. It is a supernatural realignment, a prophetic alignment with the mind, the will, and the ways of God. You are not here to chase fleeting trends, pursue money for validation, or seek approval from man-made platforms. You have been sent to walk in divine purpose, to lead with spiritual authority, and to move in sync with the prophetic timing of heaven. Kingdom thinking transforms your entire focus and rewires the way you respond to life. You no longer approach each day with a mindset of mere survival, asking, "How can I get through this?" Instead, you begin to ask with purpose and clarity, "What has God assigned me to build today?" Your language shifts from questioning your struggles, "Why is this happening to me?" to making declarations of faith and authority. This is happening for me, and I have been given the grace to carry it. While others around you may respond to chaos with panic, you remain grounded and unwavering. When the world is shaken, your spirit stands still, anchored in peace. Why? Because those who think with kingdom perspective understand that the presence of a storm does not indicate the absence of God. Rather, it often signals that God is preparing to perform a miracle right in the middle of uncertainty. You no longer walk according to what you see with natural eyes. You walk by divine strategy, by insight, not just eyesight. And when you feel outnumbered or overwhelmed, you remind yourself of a truth that kingdom thinkers never forget. Heaven's armies do not lose. You are never alone, never without backup, and never without victory already written into your story. When you find yourself standing before a giant, you no longer tremble in fear. Instead, you remember that you are already carrying the stone, equipped, empowered, and prepared by God for the battle at hand. This level of kingdom thinking sets you apart. It causes you to walk with greater intentionality, speak with divine clarity, and plan with a higher level of vision and wisdom. As a result, do not be surprised if you begin to feel like a stranger in places that were once familiar. The conversations that once captivated your interest may now feel shallow or surface level. The environments that once offered you comfort may now feel spiritually stagnant and uninspiring. This shift is not a sign of arrogance or pride. It is the undeniable evidence of growth. Your mind, under the influence of divine transformation, has expanded beyond the boundaries of its previous environment. The mental and spiritual development God is producing within you no longer fits in spaces where small talk is prioritized over purpose, and where fear masquerades as wisdom. You are evolving, and as your thinking matures, so must your surroundings. God is replacing your survival instincts with supernatural insight. You are no longer reacting, now you are receiving revelation. You are learning to think with an eternal perspective, not just about short-term results. You are beginning to see that peace is more valuable than popularity. You understand that purpose is more important than applause. Being hidden does not mean you are forgotten. It means God is protecting and preparing you for something greater. Kingdom thinking also brings clarity. You start to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake, between a true assignment and a distraction, between a divine door and a trap that only looks like an opportunity. This kind of clarity does not come from books or hard work alone. It comes from being close to God. The closer you walk with Him, the more heaven fills your thoughts. Here's the deeper truth. Kingdom thinking is preparation for kingdom authority. God cannot give you the keys to lead if your mindset is still controlled by fear, comparison, or a sense of lack. That's why He is training your mind to handle responsibility, wealth, influence, and leadership with wisdom and balance. God is preparing you not just to receive blessings, but to manage them well. So don't fight the changes happening in your thinking. Don't shrink back when you feel like your thoughts no longer match the people around you. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to lead. And leadership begins in the mind. Rising higher is not pride, it's obedience. God is reprogramming your thoughts to match your true identity. You are a citizen of the kingdom, a vessel of truth, a builder of legacy, and a carrier of spiritual blueprints. Your mind is now aligning with the strategies of heaven. This is how mountains are moved. This is how nations are transformed. It all begins with a renewed mind. Chapter 4. You're being trained to think in faith, not fear. Chosen one, listen carefully. God is not just freeing you from fear, He is teaching you to think above it. You are now in a season where your faith must become stronger than your feelings. This isn't about pretending you're not afraid. It's about learning to make decisions based on faith, decisions that fear cannot control or cancel. Every new assignment God has placed on your life requires a higher level of faith. That's why fear is being revealed and removed in this season. In the past, fear silently controlled you. It made you play small when you were meant to stand out. It delayed your obedience and confused your view of yourself, others, and even God. Fear told you that you weren't ready. It said you needed more time, more confirmation, and more approval. But God is breaking that cycle now. Fear convinced you that you weren't ready. It told you that you needed more time, more confirmation, and more validation. But here's the truth. Fear is a liar, and it has been living in your mind without permission. God is removing it now. You cannot step into your promise while thinking like a prisoner. You cannot carry the calling God gave you while still doubting if you deserve it. Fear kept you stuck in old places. It made you choose what was familiar instead of what was faithful. It caused you to second-guess your anointing, replay old conversations in your mind, doubt what God clearly told you, and overthink until you missed open doors. Something has shifted. God is now training you for bold obedience. He is not asking you to feel fearless. He is commanding you to think fearlessly. He is equipping you with a mindset of faith, one that empowers you to move forward even when fear urges you to stay still. You will speak the truth even if your voice trembles. You will build the vision even when you don't yet have all the details. Why? Because your trust is not in the plan, it is in the provider. This is what it truly means to walk by faith and not by sight. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You simply need to take the next step God has instructed you to take. You stop asking, what if it fails? And start declaring, what if this is the breakthrough? That change in thinking becomes the foundation for movement in God's kingdom. Faith-based thinking means you no longer negotiate with your calling. You stop overanalyzing the consequences of obedience. You no longer wait for approval from people who don't understand your purpose. You stop apologizing for the favor God has placed on your life. Instead, you begin to move in alignment with heaven, even when people on earth don't understand it. Let's be clear. Fear may try to return, but it will no longer have control over your decisions. You might still feel afraid, but you won't follow fear anymore. You may face resistance, but you'll keep going because you now understand that faith doesn't mean the absence of fear. Faith is having the courage to move forward while trusting the one who called you. God isn't just stretching your faith, He's making it stronger. He's teaching you that your thoughts should align with your true identity, not with your emotions. You are not weak, confused, or inadequate. You are chosen, fully equipped, and divinely backed by heaven itself. When you begin to think and live from that truth, fear can no longer hold power over you. This is what it means to operate within the realm of a faith-filled mindset. At this level, you do more than simply believe in God. You begin to believe with God. You move beyond mere hope and enter into true partnership with Him. Your prayers become declarations of possession, not just petitions for possibility. And because your heart and mind are now aligned with heaven, nothing is impossible for you. Chapter 5. Mental discipline is being activated. Chosen one of the greatest and often most overlooked signs of true spiritual maturity and mental renewal is discipline. This is not just the kind of discipline that enforces routine, but the kind that changes how you think, how you respond, and how you lead yourself when no one is watching. God is not only giving you knowledge, He is developing in you the discipline needed to carry and apply wisdom. And it all begins in your mind. In this season, God is training your mind to remain calm and steady, even when everything around you feels chaotic. While the world reacts with fear, stress, and distraction, He is giving you the supernatural ability to focus. You are not just being called to do more. You are being called to do the right things with clarity and consistency. Your thoughts are becoming more organized, your decisions more intentional, and your focus more guarded. You are beginning to understand that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every voice needs a response. This is what mental discipline looks like. Learning to save your energy for what truly aligns with your purpose. It means no longer wasting time on drama that drains you, avoiding conversations that create confusion instead of peace, and letting go of the habit of endlessly scrolling for validation that will never truly satisfy you. God is freeing you from the constant need for noise and grounding you in stillness. He is teaching you to guard your thoughts like a soldier guarding a city gate. Now, every thought that enters your mind must be examined with discernment. Ask yourself, does this thought support my purpose or distract me from it? Does it align with faith or feed fear? You are learning to take your thoughts captive, to confront the lies the enemy whispers and replace them with truth before they become strongholds. Mental discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Present in the spirit, present in your purpose, and present in your process. It is the ability to stay focused on your mission, even when your emotions tell you to run. It is the maturity to say no to short-term pleasures that can damage long-term growth. God is teaching you the value of stillness, silence, and self-control. The world may see this as boring, but heaven sees it as preparation. Without discipline, promotion can become a distraction. Without discipline, access can lead to burnout. You cannot carry what God has called you to carry with a scattered mind. That's why He is giving you the gift of a sound mind, a mind led not by emotions, insecurity, or pressure, but by the Spirit. Chapter 6. Your new mind will attract new doors. Chosen one, don't be surprised when new opportunities start to appear in your life. They are not random. They are the result of your renewed mind coming into alignment with the next level of your destiny. You are no longer thinking like the person you used to be. You are thinking like the person you are becoming. And as your thoughts rise, everything connected to you begins to rise as well. There is a spiritual principle. You can only walk through doors that your mind is prepared to handle. The door doesn't open just because your talent is ready. It opens when your mind is ready. That is why God has been working so deeply on your thought life. He is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is training your mind for a higher level that requires strength, influence, and responsibility. The thoughts you think are shaping your spiritual environment. Negative thinking brings delay. Doubt leads to distraction. But faith-filled, purpose-driven, and kingdom-aligned thinking attracts divine access. Now that your mindset is changing, your momentum is changing too. Doors that once ignored you are about to open and call your name. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach are now coming into view. But this is not magic. It is movement. Heaven is responding to the frequency of your renewed mind. When you begin to think like royalty, heaven no longer treats you like a beggar. When you stop begging and start believing, access is granted. When you walk in the identity God has given you, not with arrogance, but with holy authority, new places and people recognize who you are before you even arrive. God is connecting you with new people, those who don't just tolerate your light, but honor it. people who speak your spiritual language, people who don't drain your energy, but sharpen your vision. New resources are also being released. God is giving you access to tools, platforms, and finances that were held back in the previous season. Not because you lack talent, but because your mindset wasn't ready to sustain them. He needed to make sure that when you received them, you would manage them well. He wanted to know that your heart would still serve even when your hands were full. Now, you are ready. Don't be surprised if certain doors close. That is not rejection, it is redirection. Sometimes God closes old doors so you won't return to things that no longer match your new mindset. You have outgrown certain rooms, relationships, and conversations. You don't belong in places where your vision cannot grow. You are not just lucky, you are aligned. Alignment is what activates God's promises. When your thoughts agree with God's plan, the enemy cannot stop the doors that open. No person can block what God has already decided for you. That's why you must stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay in agreement with what God has shown you in private. Chapter 7. This renewal is just the beginning. Chosen one, let this truth sink in. The renewal of your mind is not a one-time event. It's not a quick solution, a spiritual high, or a short moment of clarity. This is the start of a lifestyle, a daily journey of change, surrender, and alignment. You are entering a new way of living, not just a new way of thinking. It will take all your effort to stay committed, not to being perfect, but to making progress. Every day, God gives you a chance to align your thoughts with His. He helps you reject old lies and accept His truth. Your strength is not built by what happens around you, but by what you agree with inside. The battle is in your mind. You win by choosing to believe what God says about you. The more you follow His word, the more you discover your true identity. You are not just thinking differently, you are becoming who God made you to be. The real you, the one the world tried to bury with trauma, heartbreak, shame, and confusion, is rising. This is the true you, chosen, focused, strong, and full of purpose. You're not going back to who you used to be. That old version was needed for a time, but it no longer fits where God is taking you. That version was shaped by pain, survival, and instability. It helped you through hard times, but now God is calling you to a new life. You need a mindset that can hold joy, manage blessings, and walk with confidence. This is what your renewal is creating. You are becoming someone who doesn't just talk about faith, but lives it. You don't just hope for change, you create it through discipline, clear goals, and strong trust in God. When discomfort comes, and it will, accept it. Be glad for the growth. Thank God for changing your thinking. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Every hard moment is making space for something better. Every time you control your thoughts, break old habits, and reject lies, you are building a future based on truth. God is getting you ready for a higher level that needs the mind of Christ. This means embracing divine wisdom, spiritual sensitivity, holy confidence, and unshakable peace, because you cannot carry the next mantle with an unhealed mindset or walk in your destiny while still thinking like the broken version of yourself, which is why this renewal is so essential. It serves as the foundation for everything that is coming next. And if you're still hungry for more chapters to this journey, or a visual concept for a video or thumbnail, just say the word, "I'm here and ready to help bring it all to life." Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. If you find this video interesting,